Next thing you know, we get a call on the radio from the train master, and he's like, "Hey, are you guys supposed to be going that way on that track?" What's up, everybody? My name is Hameen Phillips. You're watching the Sticky Web Domains channel. Today, I want to take a little break from railroad territorials and kind of give you guys a story. It's a railroad story from my experience as a student. And I've been wanting to tell this story. I just didn't really know how to go about it or how to make it interesting. But I just decided today to just go ahead and tell it. So I hope you guys like it. Let's dive right into it. So it was May 3rd, 2018. I do remember that. It was about 1 o'clock in the morning when I got the call to come to work. I had an hour and 30 minutes to report. So I get to work. I show up at the terminal. I meet with my conductor who was going to train me. She was a female conductor. And I meet the engineer on the job. After we briefed JSB, we did a job safety briefing. We proceeded to get into a van that was going to take us to our locomotive. It was going to be a coal train, and we were to take this coal train into South Dakota, Fargo. So, I kind of knew things were gonna be bad right out of the gate. It was dark. By the time we got our paperwork ready and the JSB, it was probably about 3 a.m. And we're at the coal dock, and the conductor is, teaching me all the things about what to look for, blase, all the things you do when you have a student. She's running me through the whole process. I kind of had a feeling that something about this day was not normal. Something was off. Just sitting there waiting and watching the coal train go by, because we were doing a roll by before we were going to take off to our destination. And something just didn't feel right. I couldn't quite put a finger on it though. So we do the roll by. Everything looks great. The train looks good. No brakes were dragging. All the axles were moving. Everything looked good. We were ready to go. So we get on the engine along with the engineer. The conductor on the job, she proceeds to train me and tell me things I was going to need to know on the destination. And some of the things she was training me about was talking to dispatchers and giving how to write down track warrants. And I remember that day because I was very nervous to do a track warrant, because you have to talk to the dispatcher. They're going to give you a track warrant number, and they're going to tell you how good the track warrant is good from A to Z, and at what time is okayed. And they talk pretty fast, and you have to write it all down. And I was just like, oh man, I'm not going to get this. So I just remember being really nervous. This is one of my first times talking to a dispatcher and having to do a track warning. The conductor who was training me was very patient. She was writing down notes telling me everything I need to know in order to be able to do this successfully. So we call the dispatcher and basically tell them, okay, we're ready to depart. And the dispatcher gives us the okay, the green light, and, for us to proceed. What happens next, I never thought I would see as a student. The dispatcher somehow lined us into the wrong track. And we are going the wrong way, not where we're supposed to be going. Next thing you know, we get a call on the radio from the train master, and he's like, hey, are you guys supposed to be going that way on that track? Next thing you know, the engineer, he comes to this huge controlled stop. He stops this whole coal train as fast as he can, but he does it in a controlled way. So it's a smooth stop, but man, it just freaked me out because I didn't know what to expect at this point. We have a coal train, we're lined into the wrong track. Had another train been coming, we would have been done. They would have been done. Everybody would have basically been done. Whew. The engineer and the conductor were basically confused about what was just happened. How it happened, why it happened. Was it their fault? Was it the dispatcher's fault? Nobody knew what the hell was really going on at this point. So the conductor wanted to make sure that, all bases were covered. So she's saying to the engineer, hey, did you yell out emergency, emergency, emergency? And he's like, no, I didn't have to because I didn't dump the air. I didn't put the train into emergency. He said I came to a controlled stop. So at this point, they realized that there is nothing that they couldn't do any better than what they've done. What they did was exactly what they were supposed to do. They were doing their job per textbook. But it's still nerve-wracking when this kind of mistake is made and you just don't know, is it something you could have did to avoid it? And everybody is kind of on edge at this point. The conductor, I'm not going to use her real name for her own privacy, but we'll call her Leah. She was freaking out, She was basically like, oh man, we're going to have to get drug tested. We're not going to go anywhere. They're going to bust this call. We're going to end up getting off and going home, and then there's going to be an investigation, and I'm looking like, what? I'm a new hire. I just started. This is one of my first road jobs as a student, and I'm just like, you kidding me? A drug test and an investigation, and I'm like, I don't even know. This is my first day on the train, on the road, Oh boy. Anyways, the conductor starts to relax. She goes out, has a smoke. Because there's nothing we can do. At this point, we're just waiting on the word from the train master to give us the instructions on what we were going to do next. The engineer was basically he was cool. He was calm and collect. We'll call him Bob. He was just like, hey, I'm not worried about it. We did our job. We did everything we were supposed to do. All we can do is hurry up and wait. Because as you know, on the railroad, everything is pretty much hurry up and wait. So we're waiting. We're waiting on what the hell is going to happen next. This was not how I wanted to start, my first road trip. And it's still early. I mean, it's probably about 3:30, 3:45 at this point. It's still dark out. And nobody wants to deal with this at this time in the morning. So the train master basically comes back over the radio. And he's like, okay, all clear. You guys can go ahead and proceed. And I'm like, whew, because I didn't want to go home and not get my training in. And we were already out there. I had already woken up and got out there. So it's like I might as well finish out the day. And I damn sure didn't want to get drug tested because who does? I mean, not that I have anything to worry about. I don't do anything, but it's just a waste of time, And I just didn't feel like sitting around waiting for someone to come just to do a drug test, and for what, So we got the all clear, and go. At this point, everybody's relieved because we know that the train master knows that this was beyond our control and that this was not our fault. And I'm sure this was something on the dispatcher's end, and this is something that they had to deal with whoever their boss was. So we were all good to go.